A tale of hope and sacrifice. Mary was a young, beautiful woman with dreams as big as the sky. She grew up in a small village where the fields were golden and the sun was warm, but there weren't many opportunities. One day, she made a difficult decision to leave her home and move to a foreign country in search of a better life. It wasn't easy, but she knew it was a chance to help her family and build a future. With a heavy heart, she said goodbye to her parents, her brothers and sisters, and to John, the love of her life. John held her hand tight at the airport and said, "No matter how far you go, my heart will always be with you." Tears rolled down Mary's cheeks as she hugged him one last time before boarding the plane. When Mary arrived in the foreign country, everything felt strange. The air was cold, unlike the warmth she had known her whole life. People spoke quickly, in a language she could barely understand. She tried to greet them, but often felt lost, struggling to find the right words. At her new job, the tasks were unfamiliar, and her co-workers spoke in phrases that made her head spin. She stayed quiet, often too shy to ask for help, but she was determined to learn. Every night after work, she would study the new language, repeating words over and over, trying to memorize each one. It was exhausting, but Mary refused to give up. The days turned into weeks, and Mary found herself missing home more than she ever imagined. The food didn't taste the same, the weather was cold and grey, and every time she closed her eyes, she could see the faces of her family. She missed their laughter, their warmth, and the way her mother's voice made everything feel safe. But what hurt the most was missing John. She thought about him every day, wondering if he missed her the same way. They would talk on the phone sometimes, but the distance between them felt like a mountain. "I miss you," he would say, and Mary's heart would ache, knowing it could be years before they were together again. In time, Mary began to adapt to the new world around her. She made friends with other people who had also left their homes to work in the same foreign land. They shared stories of their struggles, laughed about their misunderstandings, and helped each other feel a little less alone. Mary felt a small sense of belonging. Slowly, she started to understand more of the language. She practiced with her new friends and even began speaking with her co-workers at the job. It was hard, but with each word, she grew more confident. The weather, though still cold, started to feel less harsh. She bought warm clothes, learned to enjoy the quiet of snowy days, and found comfort in small things: a warm cup of tea, the kindness of a stranger, the rare but bright sunshine. Even though she was finding her way, Mary never stopped thinking about her family and John. Every time she sent money home, she felt proud that she could help them. She imagined her mother's smile when she received the letters and gifts. But the loneliness lingered. She missed holding John's hand, hearing her father's voice, and the simple joy of being surrounded by the people she loved. Mary knew the sacrifice was great, but she reminded herself why she had come. She was building a future, not just for herself, but for everyone she loved, and that thought kept her going, even on the hardest days. Years passed, and Mary had become stronger. She had learned the language, adapted to the foreign culture, and made a life for herself in this new country. But her heart never left home. One day she got a message from John. He said, "It's time to come back. We've been apart for too long." With the savings she had worked so hard for, Mary decided it was finally time to return. She packed her bags, excited and nervous, to see her family and John again. The journey back was long, but her heart was light. When she stepped off the plane, she saw John waiting for her with open arms. Her family stood behind him, smiling and waving. Mary ran into John's arms, tears of joy streaming down her face. "I've missed you," she whispered, and he held her tight, saying, "I knew you'd come back. You've always been strong, Mary." As she hugged her family, Mary realized that though the journey had been tough, it had made her stronger, more resilient, and filled with a deeper appreciation for everything she had left behind. Mary's story is the story of many who leave their homes in search of better opportunities. It's a journey of sacrifice, of loneliness, of learning to adapt to new places and languages. But it's also a story of hope, of the love that keeps us going, and of the strength we find in ourselves when we have no choice but to keep moving forward. In the end, home is not just a place. It's the people we love, and no matter how far we go, that love always brings us back.